Hello and welcome to Wineskins, a program that features the lives of the saints and reflections on the Sunday readings, along with information on a variety of topics and issues from a Catholic perspective. I'm Father Jim Korda. Our program is brought to you through the annual Bishop's Appeal, the Catholic Communication Campaign, and St. Paul's Catholic Books and Gifts, a division of the Society of St. Paul. Our interview segment today will feature Dana Balash from WFMJ TV-21 in Part 2 from our television series Spotlight. We will also get a glimpse into the life and times of St. John Chrysostom, along with reflections on the readings for this 23rd Sunday in Ordinary Time. That and more on Wineskins. To tell us more about family life in the Diocese of Youngstown is Dave Schmidt.
Hello, my name is Dave Schmidt, and I'm the Director of the Office of Pro-Life Marriage and Family Life at the Catholic Diocese of Youngstown. One of the activities for which my office is responsible is the 8th Annual Faith and Family Festival, to be held on Sunday, September 24th from noon until 6 p.m. at Hoover Park, which is across from Walsh University in North Canton, Ohio. Now, if you're familiar with the Faith and Family Festival at all, you probably associate the event as happening in the middle of July. Why the change to September? Well, we hope for milder weather, less conflict with family vacations, and we trust it will be a better time of year to collaborate with parishes and schools. We are extremely fortunate to have a wonderful committee of volunteers dedicated to making the Faith and Family Festival a resounding success. These volunteers are Catholic Christians who love their church, take their faith seriously, and take great joy in their family relationships. The planning committee's enthusiasm for faith and family is sure to make this year's Faith and Family Festival the premier event for families in the Diocese of Youngstown. So what is the Faith and Family Festival all about? Here's what the vision statement of the Faith and Family Festival says, and I quote, "The family is the basic unit of society, the first school in the ways of faith, and the environment in which young people, the future of the church and the world, grow and learn to live. It is from holy families that the church receives holy priests and religious. Therefore, the family must be the primary focus of our efforts to undertake the new evangelization. The Faith and Family Festival is directed towards the formation of families that, strengthened by the liturgy, devotions, and teachings of the Church, and by their common fellowship, might go forth and be a leaven to the world. The festival is designed to be truly enjoyable and deeply spiritual at the same time. All our efforts on behalf of families are entrusted to the protection and intercession of the Holy Family." Unquote. From the moment you arrive at the Faith and Family Festival, you know that this is going to be a special day for you and your family. First of all, Hoover Park is a beautiful setting with wonderful facilities. There will be a large tent for the main gatherings. Throughout the day, you and your family can enjoy listening to different praise and worship bands. Food stations will ensure that you can feed your family at affordable prices. You can accompany your children in a special area of kids' activities, enjoying things like balloon animals, games, face painting, crafts, and a petting zoo. Plus, there will be special opportunities to pray before the Blessed Sacrament in Eucharistic adoration and to celebrate God's mercy in the Sacrament of Reconciliation, as we will have priests on hand to hear confessions. Throughout the day, radio personality Brooke Taylor will serve as MC. The featured speaker of the day will be psychologist and author Dr. Ray Guarendi. Dozens of vendors will be providing merchandise, free samples, or information that may be helpful for families. As you can tell, the Faith and Family Festival Planning Committee has a full day of family fun planned for Sunday, September 24th. But here's the clincher. It's all being offered to you and your family for free. Yes, you heard me correctly. This full day of family fun and fulfillment is being offered for free, so there should be no excuse not to attend. Of course, donations will be accepted, and you'll need to bring a few bucks for lunch, which will be provided at affordably priced food stations. To learn more about the Faith and Family Festival, check out our website at www.faithfamilyfest.org. Or you can find a link for it on the Diocese of Youngstown's website. Questions may be directed to the Office of Pro-Life Marriage and Family Life at the Catholic Diocese of Youngstown. You may call 330-744-8451, extension 272. Be sure to mark your calendar for the Faith and Family Festival on Sunday, September 24th, from noon till 6 p.m. at Hoover Park across from Walsh University in North Canton. We hope to see you there. For Wineskins, this is Dave Schmidt.
St. John Chrysostom was a bishop and doctor of the Church. To tell us more is Brother Dominic Calabro. He is from the Society of St. Paul in Canfield and the production assistant at CTNY.
This doctor of the Church died in Turkey on September 14, 407, and his body was transferred to Constantinople in 438. His feast is celebrated on the vigil of the day of his death because September 14th is the Feast of the Holy Cross. Born in Antioch around the year 349, John was educated by his mother, who was widowed at the age of 20. At the age of 18, he was baptized a Christian, and at the age of 32, he was ordained a priest. He spent 12 years as a preacher at Antioch, where his sermons won the admiration of the faithful. Chrysostom means golden mouth. It was largely because of his fame as a preacher that John Chrysostom was elevated to Patriarch of Constantinople. However, angered by one of his sermons against pomp and luxury, the Empress Eudoxia had John sent into exile in 403. He was soon brought back to the empire, but 2 months later, the Empress had him banished to the frontiers of Armenia and then to the Black Sea. He died en route at the little town of Komina, saying, "Glory be to God the Father and everything. Amen." It was the Feast of the Holy Cross, September 14th, 407. The prayers of the Mass touch on the highlights of the life of St. John Chrysostom. First of all, in the opening prayer we pray, "Father, you made John Chrysostom renowned for his eloquence and heroics in his sufferings." In 1909, Pius X proclaimed him the heavenly patron of preachers. He has left the Church a legacy of scriptural exegesis that covers both the Old and New Testaments, with special emphasis on the letter of St. Paul. Secondly, the innovation, the prayer, is that we may gain courage from his patient endurance. His deportation by the Empress was accepted by him as if nothing had happened, as we read in the homily that he preached prior to his exile in 401. "I have only contempt for the world's threats. I find its blessings laughable. If Christ is with me, whom shall I fear? Though the waves and the sea and the anger of princes are roused against me, they are less to me than a spider's web." In the prayer over the gifts we say, "May the sacrament we receive make us strong in your love and faithful in your witness to your truth." St. John Chrysostom's teaching on the Eucharist is found not only in his commentary on the Scriptures and his numerous letters, but also in his treatise on the priesthood. What is the relevance of this great bishop and preacher who was able to transform his love of the monastic life into a zeal for the salvation of his people? His sermons are still powerful and instructive. Our present day need the Christian re-evangelization in so many countries should prompt the clergy to imitate the fervor and courage of this great bishop and preacher who never faltered in proclaiming the gospel. For Wineskins, I'm Brother Dominic Calabro.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm talking with Dana Balash from WFMJ Channel 21. Dana, before the break, we were talking about news. I think news is so vital and so important, and the need for it to be so transparent as well. But it's fallen on hard times for a lot of reasons. What can we do as people who provide news for the folks to do a better job?
Well, I think first of all is we want to hear about the good stories. You know, we want to hear about people who are doing good things, and sometimes we don't get those messages. We rely on a lot of viewers with email, with texting. You know, we want people to call us and say, hey, this person's doing this for their neighborhood, or this person's doing this. If you get us the story, then our supervisors make that determination. The crime that we see, you know, those are public records. Celebrities, you know, who do something wrong. That's what news is. Is that the right definition of news? Probably not, but that's what this business is. So that's changed. You know, we want to hear good things. If we can put a newscast together with all positive news, that would be great.
It would be. wonderful. It's rare that it happens.
It is rare.
You know, some of the news, some of the national news, like once a week, devote a segment, usually their final segment, to some hero or some positive story, which I think is really important for us to kind of keep in the forefront, that news is not always bad.
No, and I think that's where the community and the public has to be aware to say, okay, if this person's doing something good in school, or if this organization is doing something to help the underprivileged, we want to know that. But we want to know that before it happens, because after the fact, then, I mean, we're television, so we need the visuals to go with that. And Father, some people are apprehensive to do that, you know, and that's their decision to make, and we respect that. But many times, you know, we'll get a call after the fact of something that, you know, this person did this for the community. And my response is, you know, even in the sports world is, you know, well, let us know beforehand, because then we can do something with it. But I think when people get over that apprehension of promoting themselves or promoting their church or their organization, then I think it's all good.
Let's talk about the community. You come in contact with a lot of people in the community. How important is that whole sense of having a positive relationship with the community, and how do you serve the community, but how does the community serve you?
Well, I think first of all, when community members want to promote what they're doing positive, and again, when there's positives, there's negatives, and we have to draw that line to what we're going to report on. But I think this community has to be more positive. I think people in the community need to be more positive. Not to say they're not, but again, we want to promote what's going on. Our relationship with community members, with sports figures, is something that, you know, we'll always have, that I will always have. I think that's important. The toughest thing for me is when there's a sports celebrity in this area that does something wrong. You got to report on it. That's our job, and that's very difficult for me sometimes. But I think they respect what I do. I respect what they do. As long as you're fair, then I think there's no issues.
Let's talk about some of those sports people that you've come in contact with that have, for lack of a better word, influenced or made you feel that what you're doing is really the right thing. Any people that stand out?
I think one is former Major League umpire John Hirschbeck from Poland. His wife and Denise and their 2 daughters. I mean, they lost 2 sons to a rare disease. And John is probably one of the most positive people that I've ever come in contact with. Now has the Magic of Michael Foundation, which helps underprivileged organizations and kids in this area. And I think has really, really stepped up. I mean, lost his first child, I believe, in the early 90s, one just a couple of years ago. Knew it was his son's dream for him to continue umpiring for that year. When his son passed away in April of 2014, or 2013, you know, took that year off, umpired a couple of more years because that's what his son wanted to do. And John was one of those guys who doesn't like the spotlight, but does a lot of stuff behind the scenes that really people don't know about. And I think what he's done and the direction that he's taken that Magic of Michael Foundation and what that family has gone through is unbelievable.
And when you experience those kind of events or those life moments, it really puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
No question about it. I mean, you know, he is one of those guys where, you know, his faith is very important to him and that family. And those are difficult times for a family to lose one child and then to lose a second child. I mean, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And certainly, you know, his faith, I think, has gotten him through all this, him and his family.
Let's talk about family, too. You know, we talked about community. Family, your family, obviously, is extremely important. How does family come into play with your work and your vocation?
Well, I think first of all, family is important. I mean, in our sense, I mean, we're all older a little bit now, so sometimes it's difficult to get everybody together on certain days. I mean, I think Christmas and Easter are the most times we're together. My immediate family, you know, I have a brother who is a priest and champion, so he's close. My mother's still living. Another brother in Hudson, one in West Virginia, and my sister's in Hubbard. So, you know, we try to get together, and I think that's important. Sometimes you can't make it, but when you're married, you know, you have to go. Right. You know, there's, you know, sometimes we're all together, sometimes we're not, but I think we all understand that, you know, the time we are together is special.
Let's also talk about that whole element of faith. And I think in our final segment, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Faith and sports, those two go in hand in hand at all?
No question about it. There are prayer groups with Youngstown State football. Coach Pelini makes sure that's important. Coach Tressel at the time always made sure that the players had a chance to attend Mass or have a priest come in or a pastor or a religious person come in to speak to them. I think that's vitally important. I see that more and more now. I know when teams come to play in the Hall of Fame game in Canton, the churches up there, I believe, open up their doors for the teams to come in. I see a lot of priests now traveling with teams, whether it's parochial or non-parochial or public schools, and I think that's important. So I think when young athletes, girls or boys, have an opportunity to speak to someone, when it comes to religion, I think that's important. And I'm seeing it more now in athletics probably than I've ever seen before. After a big game, an interview, person says, hey, I want to thank God for giving me this opportunity. So I think that's important. And I think when young people see their heroes do that, then they're going to follow suit as well.
For more information on that topic and other related issues, and to listen to Wineskins, visit the website of the Catholic Diocese of Youngstown at www.doi.org. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Christopher Minutes. Thoughts on making every day count. Here's Monsignor Jim Lisanti.
On February 3, 1966, U.S. Navy Captain Gerald Coffey was flying a reconnaissance mission off the coast of North Vietnam. When he lost control of his aircraft, he was captured on the ground by North Vietnamese forces. He would spend the next 7+ years in prison. Recalling the experience, the former POW says, "The key to my survival was faith. Faith in God above all, but also faith in others and in myself. I learned to appreciate myself and my own humanity." In order to stay focused on his faith, Captain Gerald Coffey created a visual reminder for himself. He says, "The first 2 words I scratched on my cell wall made all the difference. They were 2 words with an equal sign between them. God equals strength." My friends, no matter what your circumstances, you can find strength in God.
What have you done for your marriage today?
I gave my wife a hug this morning. I told her I love her.
I did her hair this morning. I think it looks pretty good.
I cooked my husband's favorite breakfast.
I bought her an orchid.
What have I done for my marriage today? I sent my husband a love email.
I read the newspaper to my wife, and it cracked her up. But she's still laughing.
What have you done for your marriage today? Make a change for the better. Need help? Go to foryourmarriage.org, a message from the Catholic Church.
By the time we can walk, each of us yearns for the joy that comes from being able to do for ourselves. Church World Service believes that being self-reliant is a joy everyone should share. So around the block or around the world, share the joy. Church World Service.
Our song today is from the CD entitled Just Jesus. It is by the Kellenberg Memorial High School Choir.
My Jesus, my Savior, Lord, there is none like you. All of my days, I want to praise the wonders of your mighty
Our scripture reflection for this 23rd Sunday in Ordinary Time will be done by Sister Mary McCormick. She is a General Superior of the Ursuline Sisters of Youngstown.
Owe nothing to anyone except to love one another. What a beautiful thought. These words from St. Paul's letter to the Romans in today's second reading provide a vision for life. There are days when I believe I can love everyone and everything in life. But there are other days when I know the truth described by Dostoevsky in the brothers Karamazov. At the risk of sounding like a Russian novelist, let me describe one of the conversations in the novel. The elder, Father Zosima, recounts a remark he heard from a doctor. The more I love mankind in general, the less I love people in particular, individually, as separate persons. He continues, active love is harsh, and it's a fearful thing compared to love in dreams. Love in dreams thirsts for immediate action, quickly performed, and with everyone watching. Indeed, it will go so far as the giving of one's own life, provided it does not take too long, but is soon over, as on stage, and everyone is looking on and praising. Whereas active love is labor and perseverance, and for some people perhaps, whole science. But I predict this to you. You will suddenly reach your goal and will clearly behold over you the wonder-working power of the Lord, who all the while has been loving you, and all the while has been mysteriously guiding you. What Dostoevsky describes as the love in dreams is a romantic notion of love. Everything is peaceful and calm. Every story ends happily ever after. And every good intention is recognized and received with the same generosity with which it is offered. I wish love were always that easy. The truth is, as Father Zosima says, that active love is harsh and fearful. It is labor and perseverance. I think many of us know active love. Active love is parents caring for their children, even when they're crying in the middle of the night. It is adult children caring for their aging parents. It is healthcare workers in centers for adults with dementia and disabilities who treat each person with respect, dignity, and loving care. It is friends who provide moral support for their friends who are dealing with substance abuse and mental illness. Active love is practicing justice for those who live on the margins of our society, immigrants, the poor, and those who are in prison. And, as Dostoevsky notes, the ground for this power to love is God. God has been loving us and guiding us mysteriously. As I describe this, it sounds like a solitary activity, this love we share with one another. Today's gospel reminds us that Christian love is not something we do on our own. The love of Christ is communal. The last line of today's gospel reminds us that wherever 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there in their midst. The active love that Dostoevsky describes is best done by Christians within a community. This involves explicitly and intentionally bringing the presence of Christ into our daily activities and interactions with others. One practice that may help us to keep the presence of Christ with us through the day is that of a morning offering. When we pray at the beginning of the day, prior to beginning our daily activities, we take a moment to offer to God all of our joys, our works, our difficulties, and the encounters of the day. This practice can help us to bring the presence of Christ into all of those activities. In this way, we can try to practice the virtue St. Paul recommends. Owe nothing to anyone except to love one another. Begin this day with the intention to love others. Like Saint Therese of Lisieux, let us make our vocation to love. For Wineskins, I'm Sister Mary McCormick.
How do we get along with people? We work at it. We communicate with them openly and honestly. And when that doesn't work, we leave the door open. We treat them with indestructible goodwill, just as Jesus treated the Gentiles and the tax collectors. Wineskins is made possible by the annual Bishop's Appeal, the Catholic Communication Campaign, and St. Paul's Catholic Books and Gifts. Wineskins is produced by CTNY, the Catholic Telecommunications Network of Youngstown. I'm Father Jim Korda, thanking you for being with us. Have a blessed Sunday, and may God be with you.